Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'd like to convene the April 22nd, 2024 meeting of the Town of Niskuna Complete Streets Committee. We're meeting in the Schaefer Room at Town Hall, and may have some other folks joining us hybrid on computers at home. Quickly, I'd like to do the call to order. Tess Healy is here. Hi, Tess. Carla Dougal is here. Hello, Carla. I'm here. Bill Chapman. Jim Levy is joining us also. Andrew Millspaw next to me here. Hello, Andrew. How are you today? Good. Catherine Kuzman joining us today. Ben O'Shea may join us.
They'll probably come remotely.
A little bit later. Student reps Ali Barr, Percy Davis not here today, and James Liam, also a student representative. Sometimes he's able to scoot in and he gets out of school, so he may go on. We also have our town planner, Laura Robertson, with us today. And we have Teresa Bergani also from the planning and departments today. Okay. Privilege of the floor. We have one possibility, but not here yet, but may yet come, right?
Expecting Bill Puffy.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's a resident of Troy Road and has some thoughts about the accident that happened on Troy Road and about Bellevue Hospital and entrance. Oh, here comes a gentleman right here. You might be-
About 70. Yeah, that's Bill.
He's coming along. Hi, Bill, you're just in time. Your spot in the agenda is exactly right now, so grab a chair and we're willing to get your input on the Troy Road and the entranceway to. I am in the village. Nice to meet you, Bill. There's some other members of the Town Complete Streets Committee here, so.
Understand what's going on here, that's fine. And I did hear from ODHEC, they will have a sign on the mailbox, maybe this week, that says private driveway.
Okay.
Private driveway,
Now, where would that be located?
right on the mailbox. You see, their house is right next to Bellevue Hospital.
Okay, so this is a private homeowner that's next to the entrance
It's
to
right
Bellevue.
next to it.
I
The
see.
mailbox is right there. And people have been driving, thinking they were at the driveway for the hospital.
And they were pulling into a private homeowner's driveway.
And the posts and then the structures that support the sign and all that.
Okay,
And they promised me they will have it in, maybe this week,
Okay. So that will prevent motorists that are coming from the city that are eastbound on Route 7 and they've been turning into a private homeowner. They'll go down a space more and turn into Bellevue Hospital. Okay.
Think that way. Now, over time, they will learn that, hey, that really is a private driveway.
Yeah. Now, a second point you made, in the note to me at least, was that folks that have a newborn that want to get out safely, that are worried about turning onto Troy Road, coming out of Bellevue Hospital, that there was a back entrance.
Correct.
And I actually went to drive that myself, and they had the barricades up back there. So I don't know if
They
you.
did only because of the snow.
Okay.
Now, when the snow disappears, which it has, they'll take those barricades down.
Okay.
And I think,
So a person couldn't get out in the winter with snow and ice, right? They would be able to do that. Okay. And quickly, what are a couple other recommendations that you made to the public?
sent you some photographs.
Yeah.
And it said that the driveway into the hospital is only about a third the way from Roman
Mhm.
and not halfway. Third of the way to Roman and 2/3 to Hickory. So what I'm saying, if you want to put a stoplight, do it at Roman. Do it at Roman. Yeah,
So Roman is up here,
yeah. That's what it is.
Hickory's down here, so.
So they said it's about right there. It's about right there.
But let me see, is the bus stop at Hickory Road? Are you?
Well, the bus stop is staggered. The closest one is right there, right next to the entrance there.
Uh-huh.
The one going
Yeah.
towards Schenectady is here. And so the bus stops are not right across from each other. So my recommendation is, you want to put a stop light, put it up here in Gilman. And secondly, the sidewalks look very good. They're fine. I don't think they have to repave the sidewalks or anything like that. And if you're gonna have a crosswalk, put it here, at home. If you have a stoplight there. If you want a stoplight, the alternative is to have a circle around, and that's no good because the land slopes heavily on both sides of the road. So it's not a circle in there. It would be really stupid. I guess.
So you'd recommend Roman for a light and a crosswalk, but is Hickory completely out of contention, or is it still a possibility in your mind?
Well,
If the state.
I don't think Hickory at all. I think because it's close at least a third of the way, only a third of the way to the thirds of the way from the entrance. So stoplight, put it here.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So one of the things, and we haven't been given any input on our grant application yet, but one of the things the grant application proposed to do was actually put an entrance to the hospital at Hickory to square that up and make it a four-way intersection. Well, you can. There's actually like a little dip because I think it was originally planned to do that. You'd have to reconfigure the parking lots.
Well, you couldn't do that because there's just not enough room. I can show you this thing there.
Maybe I don't have all the pictures.
But they're just, I just don't have the right photo to show that. But the driveway leading out of the
Bellevue
hospital,
is closer to Roman.
well, it's closer to Roman, but not only that, but if you walk the ground right in here, there's very little space to change anything. You couldn't move this road over here. It wouldn't do you any good. It wouldn't solve a problem at all.
Yeah, I wish I had an aerial. I don't mind meeting with you separately. It doesn't change any of the roads. There's a parking lot in Bellevue that's relatively close to Route 7. And you would add a connection from Route 7 to that parking lot. Make a new entrance.
Yeah, do it.
Well, you
There's not
can.
room. There's not room. There's no room.
Eliminate one entrance, the second one. Yeah.
One of them,
Yeah.
or make it, right turn only. And then have anybody who's coming out of the hospital come out at a light.
They won't want to do that. They'll want to turn left.
Well, at the light, you could turn in either direction. It's just, you would only be able to go in, a right in the current, like, main entrance, pretty entrance. So that you're not crossing the lanes of traffic.
I think the average person coming out of Bellevue Hospital will want to go both ways.
Right, and they could, because they would come out at the light. And the light would allow them to turn in either direction safely.
Yeah, but to put a light, it just doesn't make any sense to put a light right at the hospital. Doesn't make any sense to do that.
Well,
Because you've got, it's, the article, the article said, oh, there's a street right across from the hospital. There is no street.
Hickory.
No, it is not Hickory. It is the driveway that goes into Americo Massaroni's house,
Yeah,
who built my house.
really?
So there is nothing. What you want, if you're gonna put a light, you gotta put it where there is a street. And there is no street directly across from the exit of the hospital. None.
The current exit now.
That's a driveway. That's a driveway.
Yeah, I don't think that was the intention. I'm happy to meet with you and show you the concept maps, but again, nothing's been funded, and if we did get the funding, there would be a lot of public outreach. And we would, we
Okay.
would be looking at all the different intersections to see how they were.
Be sharing Bill's comments with the state DOT before they do
Absolutely.
anything, so your recommendations would go to the people designing this
It's
area.
gonna take 2 years to civil engineers out there and
Does that mean polite engineers, or does that mean technically competent engineers?
well, the civil engineers who are highway acquainted.
Yes,
You know,
yeah, I know. That's what-
I'm a mechanical engineer, but I haven't practiced for 20 years, and all I do is read books. So you and I are very equivalent
Yes.
in many respects.
Anybody else have a question for Bill? You live just across the street essentially from Bellevue Hospital on Troy Road, is that right? So you get a chance to see the pedestrians and the cars and you know the neighborhood.
Taking more photographs.
Yeah.
And I can send some more to you if you like. And I think you'll see what I've said is true.
Okay. Well, I might even be able to make some time to come out and just walk it with you so
Oh,
you
that'd
can
be
find out
fine, yeah.
what's going
Yeah,
on.
just-
That's what I do. Okay.
It's fine.
Anybody else a question for Bill while he's there? But we do thank you. As a matter of fact, we've learned from the folks on the who came to a meeting to discuss safety issues on Van Antwerp, that the nearby neighbors often know the problems much better than sometimes officials do. And they often have, ideas about a solution that are, have good merit and have engineers, as a gentleman gave us his thoughts on the traffic circle in front of GE. And so we're going to take a look at that. And of course, if we could get something where all we got to do is repaint rather than rebuild, that's a lot cheaper than having to do something. So anyway, we thank you for coming. You're welcome to stay. No, nothing's out of your league. You're welcome to stay. Okay. We're gonna move on to the draft comprehensive plan, and this one is redoing its comprehensive plan every 10 years, 2013, working on 2023. And we've stepped forward to assist with writing the chapter on mobility and transportation. And Catherine Kuzma's been leading the group for us, and Carl and I have been, and Tess have all been trying to add some material and then make that a little more sensible. So I'm gonna defer to Catherine.
Right, so I hope everyone had an opportunity just to look at it briefly. I sent a draft of the chapter. And we're not done yet. I know Bill wanted to add some more language, intersections and public safety in the safety section. And Carla, did you want to add?
Education.
Yeah, education, the public safety. Right.
Yeah, no, I've been the one that's holding us up, but I wasn't sure what I was supposed to do with connectivity and how it related to mobility and safety, and it all kind of overlapped to me. So
Right.
I think I had to kind of figure out a lot of things because I'm not a transportation engineer. So I just sort of summarized what's in the maps and in the Phil's literature, spreadsheets and rules, and also trying to understand what something you folks wrote, and I know that, like, basically looking at Bill's, section, he sort of summarized connectivity at some level in a number of his sections, but we still have to add town roads and,
Okay. Well, I'm trying to eliminate some of the duplication. So if you see parts of it that are not there, that were there, it's because there was too much duplication. So I am trying to eliminate some of the duplication between connectivity and the safety section. Some of it appears more appropriate for the connectivity section. So that's what I'm trying to do. You have to read this as one document, can't be two sections. So that's what I'm aiming for. And I think it would be helpful to have other members look at it. I've been looking at it too long. So sometimes it's nice to have fresh eyes, and that's what I'm hoping for. We want to be able, we want to be on the same page as a committee. So make sure we're going in the right direction. This is what we want to put forth out there. And,
What would you be asking the other folks on the committee to look at?
well, I kind of outlined what I'm looking at, what I'm hoping to hear. One of the things is the organization, the way it's put together. Is this the direction that we want to stay with? Right now, we have 3 emphasis areas of introduction. Do we want to stick with that form, or is there another approach that we want to take? I'm trying to get away from the duplication because there is some. So I did eliminate some language that was in the safety section that was repeated in the connectivity section.
But the overall we started was, we felt like the old plan was very car centric. We wanted to step away from that. And then we kind of had the 3 main areas that we wanted to look at.
Yeah, so if folks could look at the way it's laid out. And also, if they feel there's sections in there that really don't seem appropriate for this plan, I would appreciate any comments on that. Or if we're missing something, is there something in there that just say, oh, I don't know why we're not including that. So we need, that's the type of information with comments that we're looking for right now. Also, if the information is incorrect, we want to get, some.
Or if you think of some detailed information that's out there that you can put a little table in.
I mean, it's right now it's about 27 pages. Last year, the previous transportation chapter was like 12 or 13. Okay, so.
You heard it
I know.
right there. It's okay. So,
Yeah, but as I said, there's a couple areas that Bill wanted to expand on. One was intersections, and we're going to talk about, are there intersections that are causing a real safety issue for the town of Niskiana? We're going to talk to representatives of Niskiana Police Force about that. And then the public safety section. I know you wanted to go more into local streets.
well, I was sort of thinking some general ideas that you had, which we might recommend, which was one that maybe level of service at intersections shouldn't necessarily be the standard, that, we want the cars to be able to go through fast, that maybe we want intersections to be safe rather than just getting cars to go through fast, that, having a safe transition for pedestrians and bicyclists and cars, that, that's something we'd want the planning board and town board to think about. And then some other more specific things that we thought about, like, that seems to, having campaigned politically, every resident complains about speed of cars on the streets. And so what are some traffic calming kinds of things that, we could do? And not that detailed, but give some examples and some things that we would like planning board and the town board to think about in the future. And we had noted that the boilerplate, or the language in the plan 2013 isn't new. It's been passed along from 2003, and so we're trying to write something that may be around for 20 years or so. It'll be there for 2024, and maybe something like that when we get to it. But
Yeah.
so we do want to have some specific examples that will be helpful And, one of the things that was on the agenda today, we weren't sure about speed humps, but Mardella Road and Colony, they use speed humps there, and I have, a handout that Tessita was kind enough to write up after visiting with the folks over there. And we have some residents on Birchwood Lane that would like to do that. So at first thinking, oh, highway department will never touch that in this unit, but we may have a road that's willing to consider that. So it's good for us. And some other things too, like the speed signs that are around and street trees and.
Do we know what
relights.
the?
We don't. When we looked at it before, Tess even, I think, figured out how expensive it would be to do a demonstration project, and it was a couple thousand. Okay. So we didn't do one over there. We haven't done a speed hump.
But the
demonstration.
town isn't saying no to them.
Not said outright no, it was just the demonstration project was too expensive for the area, and also the issue with Wyoming, I think, is that it's not particularly distinct from any of the other streets in Old Niskayuna, and I think we were concerned if we put one on Wyoming, then we need to put one on like every street in Old Niskayuna. Whereas there may be something unique and distinctive enough about Birchwood, like right in front of the schools, that may not set a precedent where we need to have a bazillion of them, which you don't necessarily want.
I'm gonna excuse myself and then enjoy the time I had with them. It's acceptable. I'm gonna send you some photographs and, come over and
Okay.
over anytime.
Sure. Carla lives in your neighborhood, William. She lives on Algonquin, so, Trish. Thank you, Bill, for coming in.
If you come down Rose Hill, it almost has like speed bumps already, speed bumps from all the Verizon work.
Oh, really?
Because, when they bored under the roads, they all heaved.
Oh.
And then they ended up cutting out the sections and paving over.
So they-
So now there's like a hump every like 100 feet.
So we've got a similar thing over here. We have a similar thing over here at the intersection, Balltown and Knott. The concrete that went in at Balltown and Knott, that's slowing people down a little bit, but then when I am over by Clifton Park, one in from Balltown Road. The town's been doing work, I think, on the water line there, like, I think every other year, and tearing it up and replacing the water line because it keeps breaking. And nothing against the town, I know they have a million things to do, but it's probably been 3 or 4 weeks now, and it's really rough like this, and it's got a cone in the middle of the road. So you literally can't drive down the lane, so. When we hear comments from certain town officials that they don't want anything in the road. There's literally been a cone in the road and uneven pavement for the better part of 3 weeks now, and it's probably the 3rd time in 5 years they've done this. It just gets done rough and they leave it, and they leave a cone there, so everybody is swerving around this thing. And so we can do this if we push, but.
No, to a speed table, like the speed hump scared them.
Yeah, this is 4 inches, I believe, is what Tess said. That's as high as it gets. It's a speed, kind of a,
Yeah, our tables and bumps are different.
Oh, they are?
no, yeah, the table, I think, comes up and then it's got a flat piece and then you go back down.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But it's only about 4 inches at the peak, and it's gradually up. And the way they have it on Modelo Road is the gentleman that was the highway superintendent kind of supervised it, and he was the guy that plowed the road. So he said it doesn't damage the snowplows, and it's not terribly noisy for the residents. It slows the traffic. There are 7 of them between,
Yeah, I think-
in between
Oh, yeah,
Central Avenue and, I should know
the road, Sand Creek?
Sand Creek
Yeah,
Road,
Sand
maybe,
Creek.
I think, whatever it is.
Okay.
And there are 4 of them over there, but I mean, I've driven Modelo many times. Matter of fact, I encourage people here, it's not that hard to get to. It's just Modelo Road and Colony. And I almost wish we could just drive the town board over in a bus and go over and get out and look at it. So,
They don't have speed bumps.
Yeah.
Bumps.
well, these are not speed bumps. They won't tear up your, and
I
to tell you the truth, I think if you have a set of residents like the folks on Birchwood Lane that
Yeah.
don't want to try it, you get a speed issue they have. I mean, these speed humps are used all,
But if we do recommend them for Birchwood, oh,
Well, is that something we want to include in the report as an example of type of way to ease traffic speeds or not? I mean,
in the comp plan?
in the-
I mean, I think that would be fine. I know Paulina was working on for a little while, like traffic calming treatments that were consideration, but they all have their pros and cons.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, the speed bumps or speed tables. I think they ease some of the emergency vehicle concerns, but I think they still have some issues with, I'm glad that he said there's not a noise, but I read that sometimes they can.
Yeah, in the report, it did say that a couple numbers
She
did
said- yeah, they
complain
said
about
in
it,
some-
but,
some vehicles, with the back
When they, yes, that's what I'm saying.
but they did take them, they took them out for a while for a repair of some kind, but the neighbors all wanted it back.
Yeah, they said that. House. Yeah.
And then, I think, I don't know if it was Mardella or somewhere else, where they were saying that people speed up between the bumps and then slow down, so there can be like some squealing happening.
Oh, gosh.
When they see the bump, all of a sudden they slam on the brakes and that can make noise
Yeah.
too.
It's the fear of the unknown. The first one in is gonna be the hardest one. Everyone's gonna complain that they're gonna hear the noise. Everyone's gonna complain the cars are gonna bottom out. That's what happens. The hardest one is to get the first one in. And then, but I think the conversations we had before was if one goes in and starts slowing down traffic, then everybody's gonna want them. And then how's the town gonna fund putting these things in on every block in every neighborhood throughout the town? So
They
it's,
don't have to
they're,
do that. They'll have to judge it. They'll have. to
well, that's
decide
exactly
where
it.
they
I mean,
wanna put 'em
it's
in,
always a
so.
judgment.
And we're, just like doing sidewalks and multi-use paths, our justification is we're focused on making it safe to get to the schools, and that's the criteria.
Right.
You have to admit to me.
Yeah, that's
That'd be a
right.
good
It's like, okay, it's near a school, like, it may not be the appropriate treatment for traffic calming and wellness giving that, like, that might be mini circles or something, who knows? But, like, for a school, like, we're gonna have, you know, the crosswalks and the sidewalks, like, a speed table, in that area.
Cause then like a second place could be like in my neighborhood, like exiting Hillside Elementary.
Yeah, then you could cluster them at schools for the time being, because I think people even penny. I don't even think. I go to lots of schools where there's speed limits everywhere. I think that like people may even always like much more acceptable because like they may, oh, the school doesn't have speed, tables, whatever. They think that I think that schools are a really acceptable place to try them out.
Anybody else? Well, obviously you have to look at that, but we're open input on
Yes.
the chapter, and we have stuff to finish, but I think Catherine was like, well, if we get off into the bushes or we're going wrong or it's confusing and misdirecting, then
Could we add a line like that? Like especially when it
Absolutely,
comes to
yes.
promoting walking and biking in school district areas?
there is a section just on schools in there.
Okay.
I started looking through it and I've been doing things in track changes. Like there's a lot of information here. I haven't got through a lot of it, but I did have two thoughts. One is just the layout of how we're going to do this with the other chapters. I noticed that we have recommendations in kind of every subsection or whatever. So we're gonna have to talk about consistency with whatever else is going on, Laura, in terms of where recommendations
So
go.
you,
Yeah, right. That's what I figured. So those may,
That's a good thought, but I guess I'm a little troubled with the farmer plan because you discuss a number of things and then you have recommendations, but it's sort of like the recommendations are sitting in air unless you've read the whole chapter that what does this recommendation pertain to? And so when we have recommendations in there, we're saying, well, this is connected to schools, this is connected to the state roads, or this is connected to county collector roads. This is a thing on town roads that we discuss existing conditions, then here are the problems we have. Here's some options to address those problems, and we have those kind of in the section where we're talking about it. And so,
I don't mind bringing that comment to coming to the plan committee, but my recommendation would be if we do it for complete streets, then they should do it in all of the other chapters.
yeah, it takes the whole plan.
Well,
That's our goal.
actually, I don't really have a preference on whether they're incorporated in or at the end.
Well, so, I mean, could we do like a summary? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, I'm wondering, we do put them in the section, kind of identify things, here's some options you could do, and then if we have some other general, at least somebody reading the plan, we've kind of discussed where they come from, because now they almost look like, well, when I read the recommendations, they're kind of like general recommendations when you go to your cardiologist: stop eating hamburgers, eat vegetables, have a salad, walk every day, do other good things. And, you know, but we also have some specific kinds of things that we want to, you know, recommend that are done too, that, you know, we want to make sure get some attention. And so, I don't know, we just thought we could do better on the recommendations.
So Laura, isn't the town budgeting for a consultant to assist with writing the comprehensive plan?
Just
Right.
stiff it up.
Right, so,
We don't want them changing.
no, but I mean,
Content,
if someone who does this all the time, if we give them like essentially, this is the content we want in it, because they're gonna make it all consistent front to back, right?
Oh, we were trying, we have to rebid it because we bid it out. and it
Right.
needed 45.
Yeah,
So we'll have to change what we're asking.
but I mean, the stuff about where the recommendations go in the front or in the text or in, it's probably a best practice on how those are done.
Typically, they're consolidated together.
Right,
Whether it's consolidated, all of them at the end of each chapter for each section, or most likely they're usually, it's at the very end where you have that, so you can essentially kind of tear that out to the recommendation. That's typically how it's done. Doesn't say it has to be the way it's done. But
The thing is separated like that. There's sense to it.
Yep.
So you don't know if it's really, this is a remedy to address some of the issues at schools or whatever. You know, so that's the problem by having it at the end, and that's why we incorporate
Could we put
within
it
the
at the
document
end?
itself.
Just some stuff like student recommendations, you know.
That's one way.
the other thing, to be honest,
Yeah,
Laura's gonna hate me saying this, but
yeah.
nobody's gonna read the plan.
I know.
We're gonna put together a 200-page plan, and people won't read it. They want the executive
So that's why we're
version.
going to do something a little bit different, which I made the point before that some plans have a big thing where they discuss the whole town and then they do stuff, and sometimes it gets so big, nobody will read it. And I think with the sections we have, that you can talk a little bit about transportation or whatever, but then we get into some specifics about the town of Niskiuna. This is our town, we had some experience in the problems, and we have some concrete recommendations that live.
Jim likes. And their zoning board will be like, according to our comprehensive plan, you're like, this is what we need to have.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right.
So, but for the record, they're using it. I can tell you how many times they have to be upset, right? People don't read the comprehensive plan for fun, but I can't even tell you how many times somebody has read a line right out of the comprehensive plan to my face when they're mad. So they definitely read it.
Yes, some people do.
But they will like hone in on the chapter that matters to them and read it over and over
Like the
again.
Bible, there can be conflicting things in the plan. They ignore the other one, like, hey, the comp plan for 20 years said that Windsor Drive should connect to River
Well,
Road.
that was one of the
But,
ones,
you know, they paid no attention to that. They were like, well, but this, that, the other thing.
Yeah,
You
so
refer
you
to
read
it
it.
in your funding app.
We also use it in all our grant applications. So I do think.
See,
that
that's the
even-
audience we're writing for. Grant applicants, a zoning board, the town conservation board, planning board and the town board. That's the audience we're shooting for, because we're giving them our best advice on how the town should look in the next 20 years. And the school district too.
Nope,
You're the expert.
I'm.
I was just questioning, like connectivity, like if there's certain things that overlap, like schools, or if you put like different roads, would you have a separate section for town roads, or would you, put all those recommendations within schools, and then like one road that is really needs attention, school related one time? But in terms of priorities, and you don't even, I mean, we're not even supposed to talk about specifics, so all my recommendations are just general, you know, summary, but then it has to
We
be
can do
broad.
specifics, but we don't do all the specifics. We don't have 20, but we can use 2 or 3 examples.
Well, and another thing we talked about is that we can incorporate the priority list into the appendices, which you guys can update from time to time very easily. We're just not gonna put the specific priority list in the chapter, well, because that's harder.
Yes.
Yeah,
Isn't it better just to have it on the website rather than put it in the document itself and put it as an appendix? The problem with putting an appendix, if your project isn't on that list, someone could say, well, that project wasn't on the list, but my project is listed, and it's not being funded, and my project's not getting funded.
I mean, I do see that, occasionally as a risk, but the risk of not putting it, at least at the time snapshot and in its appendices, is that, like when we got litigated on the historic preservation code, I think we had a reference in our comprehensive plan to a study that we'd done in 1982, but it wasn't specifically incorporated into the plan.
Okay.
And so it got thrown out by the judge. So not having at least some, I did see my.
Also, for an Excel spreadsheet in the appendix.
Take away from that was it's better to have a list than no list.
And then you're just asking for the appendix to be updated, not actually the comprehensive plan per se. So you're not changing out pages in the plan and requiring going back and doing physical edits to the document because of the way it's laid out, which is what's the real difficulty. If you just go.
So the list, but the list is in a link.
Well, the original list will be in there, and then if you request the town board to make a change to the plan, you're just adjusting appendix E. Right, so it's just a swap out. You don't have to go in and change any pages. You don't open up a discussion of the
Yeah.
plan again. It's just simply we're changing out appendix E. But I think we should put some language in there to be updated. So Laura, the legal thing is what my other main comment here. I think we've got some terminology in here. It makes me a little nervous, like, we say safety issues on Balltown Road. Without having specific data to back that up, I think we just have to be careful in how we're determining what's in the comprehensive plan. It's not a safety assessment per se. I know we do have data in here, but I think we just have to be careful how we're wording this as a comprehensive plan. So I had some thoughts, and I'll certainly save, share those with everybody. But as I was going through initially, the first section was, safety issues on state roads and county roads. I think, my opinion, I'm doing these in the past, that should be pulled back a little, something like safety analysis, because we do provide the data of kind of what's happening with the crash. Because we're saying there are issues in there, from a legal perspective, that could get us into some trouble. You have to be careful and how we do this. So some of the terminology, I think we just have to.
But if we're just quoting data that we've gotten from the state DOT, they've given us.
Do we know if it's an issue? Because we haven't studied it. Say, so there are 6 crashes on Route 7.
No.
Is that an issue or isn't it an issue?
It is an issue. We gotta get it.
We think it's an issue, and I'm not saying it isn't an issue, but without having an analysis to tell you that, like an engineering
Well,
analysis,
but we're
it can
making the
get you into legal.
it's
trouble.
enough data to warrant an analysis.
Right, so you just call it a safety.
So we're.
Right, you just call it an analysis or statistics. I'm not saying you take any of them. I'm just saying we need to link the critical terminology, because it is a comprehensive plan, and then that will be used then as a basis for studies or whatever it's in the future. But no, I mean, there's a lot in here. I just think we, putting up a little bit of that and be in pretty good shape.
Our section of Route 7 is not the highest. Crashes on Route 7, it's in Troy.
Do you want the word concern instead?
Well, we can talk about it. We'll go through it and kind of figure out what makes sense. But you have to be very careful about the terminology because of lawsuits. Anybody can crash the full comp plan and use it as a lawsuit against the town when it comes to $3 to say, you said that this was an issue.
Families of victims.
So if we say there's data in here, there's the data here, and we're acknowledging there's a data in there and kind of hinting at the fact that there's a problem, but without a safety analysis to say that there is a problem. We're not the professionals, we're not the traffic engineers to say that there is specifically a problem. We think there's a problem, and 7 crashes is, on Route 7 is too many for us. But without that professional analysis, it's kind of a leap that legally we shouldn't be taking in the comprehensive plan. That's so. Oh, no, we should have the data, and we should acknowledge that's going, it's just how we frame it, how we work.
Yeah. Well, I gave the data to Carla. I'm put it in.
No,
It wasn't me, boss. No.
Yeah, but I didn't put any language in it. So I just have it floating there. But there's no context right now.
So we had that for that. We should have it for like Rosendale, the other feature roads.
Yeah, yeah.
Rosendale,
And the reason why I put it in there, I'm not sure if we need to have it in
Matter of
there.
fact,
So
excuse
that's
me.
why I just wanted to do is to kind of look at it and see if we really want to have it in there. And what do we want to say about it,
I guess what's helpful is relativity and
Right.
like how it compares with other county roads and in terms of the time
Well,
you and how you.
it's crash data that applies to automobiles. And, but we're in the language after it, we're just talking about pedestrians, bicycles. I mean, so is it really relevant there? What do you want to say about?
Well, it's about all the transportation modes. It's not just about, I mean, pedestrians and bikes have been kind of left out a little bit. And we're emphasizing them more, but we're not leaving cars out and street cars.
No,
that sort of
right,
thing.
it's
We just need to be careful in the jumps that we take with the data in our language to make sure that we're comfortable that's the case. Because if we're not, then it just needs to be something that's done by a professional engineer or consultant to be able to say that that's the case. We have to be careful. I mean, we'll think that like 55 miles an hour is too fast in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. But if it's Route 7 and it's 6 lanes wide, yes, that's the case, but maybe that's not one of the main issues. That's the issue, you know, as to why there are crashes or something else going on. We just have to be careful in terms of what we say in here, because this plan will be used by anyone who wants to have a lawsuit against the town. So we just have to be careful on it.
right. I mean, if you look at the data, it doesn't appear that speed is one of the major factors contributing to the accidents. It's not at all, but then we have a problem, paragraph to talk about speed. So I'm not too sure.
That's right. We just have to be very
Yeah.
careful how we
Yeah.
term some of this. So, but it's a better thing to do, honestly, in my opinion. And I do this all the time. Write it up the way you want it, and we can always cut it back. It's much harder to write with that limit around your head. Like, how am I going to write this without going, you know, without overstepping that line? It's much easier to put out there what you want to put out there and then cut it back.
So as this analysis, we may have somebody will look at it and say, of course, this unit knows they've got a problem. They present data and they put it in their master plan. And, but they either haven't leaned on the state heavily enough to get the road fixed or whatever. I mean, you can almost see an attorney that wants to sue the town and the state finding, I don't know, evidence or usable information here that would persuade a judge that people have been negligent about.
Negligence is, that's a tough one, especially when it comes to municipalities. If we've identified an issue and we're showing forward progress toward it, typically that is enough to show that you're working on it. If you, I mean, you can talk about this better than I can.
Well, no,
But if you identify
the
something,
judge
say,
would
we know
say these
there's,
people are doing the right thing by identifying a problem, getting some studies done and encouraging the town. and
if we know there's a high
the
crash location, it's not expected the town's gonna fix it tomorrow. You have to study it, you have to assess it, you've got to get the money for it. It takes time, and there's an understanding there. But again, anything we put in the document is when it goes to final publish will be used by anyone who has a lawsuit. We just have to be careful of the terminology. That's all. I think there are a couple of things in here just to tweak the language. That's all. I think it's all good data. We just have to be careful how we present it. But yeah. The town working with Hudson Valley, you've got 3 lawsuits right now. They're using the zoning code and the comp plan for all 3 of them. One of them is just for a driveway for a 4-lot subdivision. Lawsuit's been going on for 4 months. It's costing the town, I don't even know how many thousands, tens of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Okay, well, good comments on that. We'll work on it. Do you want to say anything more, Laura, on the linkage study update, or did we do that at the last meeting, or is there any update?
I meant to call them today, but I didn't have the time, but we need to get the contract for them for our next appointment. That's okay.
Okay.
I was gonna call them and just be like, where did we get that?
The next one, request to Schenectady County for sidewalk on Knott Street and Baker to Lexington Parkway. And, Laura has just a little quick update on some information from county on that.
I don't know why it's recording through there. So what I heard from the county, you go get the recorder in the case. What I heard from the county is that they have reached out to the city of Schenectady, and the city of Schenectady is doing the engineering for their portion of the sidewalk. They've agreed that they will then bid the project as a singular project run by the county, and then the city of Schenectady will reimburse the county for the seaside. And Chris Mullen is involved with that, and that was very encouraging news.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah.
So, this is just from Baker in Iskiona down to Lexington Parkway in the city of Schenectady. And then there's a street, Garner, that's kind of in the middle. That's kind of where the property line goes between this county of Iskiona and the city of Schenectady. And so, Knott Street East has got about 4 houses that are in the town and it's limited. The county will be paying that segment to do presumed sidewalk and curb. And then it gets into the city from Garner down to Lexington Parkway and the city will do that. But the benefit is you'd have a sidewalk that goes all the way from Baltimore down to Ellis Hospital, and that's a good thing. And this stretch right here is on a little bit of a hill, so pedestrians can't see the motorists, motorists can't see the pedestrians, so it's getting that fixed. And it's mentioned the comp plan that you have sidewalks that just go along, then they end, and you're just on the grass on somebody's yard or still on the road. And so this is a good place to get it fixed, and we should be happy the county and the city are working together to do it. So
We're
that's good.
very happy.
Yes, we're very happy.
The next item that's not on the agenda, though, we're very happy.
Okay, let's move on to,
So can I just add, like,
Yes.
Grand Boulevard used to be on there, but I hadn't heard anything from the county, so I didn't think I was getting any updates. But when they were updating me on Knott Street, they also updated me on Grand Boulevard, and this is what I called you about. So they're proposing right now to just put a parking lane with a stair on. And I just,
so what would that look like? Can we program over up to look at it?
I mean, all that's gonna look like is one white stripe down almost the middle of the road that allows
Now,
cars.
is
to
this
park
gonna
on
be a
one
drive
side.
lane, a stripe, and then a parking lane, or is it, you
Yeah.
get two things? Like, is it?
And there'll be a share on the drive lane.
There'll be a share in the drive lane, which is sort of pushing the bikes into the middle of the street.
Yeah.
Because it's not wide enough.
No,
Is it wide enough to hold
100% wide enough, yeah. Yeah,
All three is separate.
yeah, I think they can. So,
It's a meeting, and there were some people there who were talking about, getting door if you're riding down the road.
Yeah.
Bike lane and other things, and so.
Well,
They're really considered,
Yeah.
but it's not that heavily traveled,
Right.
so.
To the extent, having a bike lane is still keeping bikers and still, which kind of sharing the road, but not sharing the road. Sparrows put you more in the line of traffic, but
Those are not
if you get
Super.
people to,
well liked by the bikers anymore, or even the professional organization.
Yeah.
They're, like moving away from Sharrows, they don't like the idea of them. If there's another option. Widen the road from the bike lanes. They don't want bike sharing the road with cars.
Yeah.
And no one ever really has. It's really a kind of a last resort, slight upgrade from nothing on the road kind of deal, but.
She's more conscientious, like, there could be bikers here, I should be careful, but maybe that's what
I
you're
mean,
thinking.
the good
that's
news,
what it's meant to do,
Okay.
yeah, I don't,
the good news is it's only paint and they're gonna have to redo it every couple of years. So if we push hard, we can always talk about trying something else in the future. It's not like they're putting in a curve that we're never gonna get taken out.
but, they did say that they were gonna do some kind of community bump outs at the intersection, so I don't know what that's gonna look like either, like, maybe that'd be a good thing. But
Well, I saw some of those in downtown Schenectady.
the community bump outs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be pretty good. Well, one of the things that frustrated me though is that they said that they didn't want to do a big change and get a lot of pushback. And like that is hard because, and I said this to them, like they shied away from doing the Clifton Park intersection for how many years because they didn't want pushback. But I get comments every day about how much better it is over there. Like you have to push things sometimes. I've learned this from Bill. I really have. You have to push things sometimes when the time is right to get a better thing there, and then everybody ends up thanking you. So to pull back because they didn't want to get a lot of pushback. It's very frustrating.
especially when you look at street views like this where no one's parked on the road.
Yeah,
No one.
I hardly ever see anyone parked on that road.
Yeah, only a handful.
Well, let us talk. What would we recommend
Up by the
if they called us and said, this is gonna complete streets?
Parking
us-
and put a bike lane.
Yeah, 80 bike lanes.
bike lane, definitely.
Well-
And we'll handle the residents that get upset about parking. I don't mind doing that.
Do we wanna say that? Do you wanna see their plan, or have we seen enough? Matter of fact, they say it is the Grand Boulevard Pavement Preservation and Bicycle Improvement Project. So, I mean, they're gonna grind up the asphalt and remix it with the stuff that pulls it together and redo the road. But I mean, the bike improvement. I mean, I know there were some residents who said, well, we are grateful to have parking because a lot of them don't have big driveways. But, they're doing something now. They're either using the side streets or they're squidging them into their parking spots that they have on their home
If
now.
if it was just a bike lane. Then what they're gonna do. They're
I think they're gonna put a parking lane
right, but they
and
wouldn't.
then they're just gonna have a traffic lane and they're just gonna paint sharrows in the traffic lane. So there's a painted line here, parking's over here. This is the traffic lane and it's got sharrows. And so if you've got enough courage to ride your bike with all the traffic speeding,
Sure, it's a full ride next to the grass. So really, like, I mean, I agree with you, but it really actually doesn't matter to me just to use it. Like, I'll still feel, it's still better.
suppose it was this, that you paint a bike lane over here
Yeah.
and some motorists park their cars there. And you say to the county, well, you look the other way at that because I've driven down there and there have only been 3 or 4 cars parked on the whole stretch that's in this unit. And so
Right.
the bicyclists would ride on this and they see a car, they go around and.
So let's get that.
Let's say we now have a formal parking lane. The county now says no parking on county roads. So if they park there, they're in violation of county code to park there. And so we want to hold on to that. If they put a parking lane there, then we're stuck. So I think our recommendation should be you stripe it so that there's a bike lane over on that side. And,
There's a lot of emergency vehicles that go down there. I'm surprised that they would want to add cars, like a parking lane for that reason.
I mean, I can't even think of a county road that has a parking lane on.
But it's not illegal. You didn't find out that it's legal to park on county roads?
no, it's not. There's a
It
county
wasn't.
ordinance. It's not legal.
I thought it was.
But, well, I
We've
don't
been,
know.
we've been talking for years that it wasn't, but I thought we just heard after this.
Can you
meeting
think
that
of
it
a
was.
county road where you see parking on it? It's not Dean Street.
I can't think of a county road where I see signs that say don't park.
Well, that's
I think
because
we found out
they
after that
cover it
meeting
with an
that it was
ordinance.
legal, but nobody, I thought
You have to
so.
post it somewhere.
I'd have to go back and look. I thought that's what we discussed, but I can't remember now, honestly. Which way it went. And I think the reality is unless people really start parking a ton of cars on the street, which I don't think they're gonna do if they have room in their driveway for their personal cars, people are gonna use the parking lane like a bike lane in reality. So it will push cars over a little in reality. It's unfortunate. It is only paint. It's not, something in the ground, so it could change in the future if we keep pushing it. But you can't stripe it for a bike lane and allow cars to park in the building because that would be an
So that's
insurance.
exactly my point.
No, you can't do that. Because it'd be a legal nightmare. You can't allow cars legally to park where there's a
Well,
bike lane.
the ordinance now is they can't park on the street. That's the current ordinance. We're not trying to push water the other way.
So if someone hits a
There's-
car, so if someone hits a car in the street, it's on them. It's that, but if the county were to allow bike lane and allow parking in the bike lane, it's a conflict of interest and legally it could create a problem. How that's a problem, I don't know, I haven't been in a lawsuit like that, but it would be a problem. You've gotta, when it comes to the transport, someone correct me if you think I'm wrong, but when it comes to transportation, you need to, if you're gonna define areas for people, they have to be defined for those people. You can't have a bike lane that's also for cars. Just like you wouldn't have, just like you wouldn't put a share, you wouldn't put a share on on-street parking lanes,
Well,
because it's for cars.
I mean,
It's
Rick
kind of
Knudsen was saying there might be some people that would park their wheel in the grassy area to get out of the area, so they're not terribly encroaching in a bike lane. They're somewhat encroaching, but there still would be plenty of room from the side of their car, say out to the middle of the road for the bicyclists to ride along it.
It all fits in the pavements there. We did this years ago and for the Complete Streets. I can find it if you want me to, but we did it for the Complete Streets workshop like 5 years ago. It all fits. You can do a drive lane, a bike lane and parking. It's tight, but it all fits.
They're not changing the width at all.
No.
Well, so we're now back to allowing them to do a parking. Wait a second.
So is that? Does that have- is that-
No, and they didn't share those. Nobody got a chance to take home the 3 renderings. And, they don't give them to us, so. But that's kind of an issue on their part, right? Do they really want our input on this? Do they really want town input? If they're unwilling to give us a picture of the 3 options that they want residents to choose from, and,
But But the three options that they gave residents to choose from, one of them included a parking lane with a share out.
Yes. There's option A is a travel lane, a bike lane, and a narrow parking lane. Option B was a travel lane, a white hashed stripe. It was going to be no parking and a buffered bike lane, so that was just no parking, travel lane, bike lane. Then option C is a travel lane, parking lane, and no bike lane. And then Art Clayman's idea was a travel lane, auto parking, and then the bike lane between.
Yeah, which I have concerns about that one.
Yeah, so they did. They did have was a travel lane, bike lane, and then a narrow parking lane over there. So,
Can we respond that we recommend B?
hey. Yeah, we want them to go back. Well, yeah, we could say we'd like you to go back to a travel lane, a bike lane, and a narrow parking lane.
So back in the workshop in, in 2018, this is the sketch we came up with. It was on the inside. It was on the inside, but the point is it fits. It fit. It just happened to be on the inside.
Advantage to A2 is that you have actually almost quite a bit more paint, because you're painting the bike lane both sides. And then you're forcing the cars, because it's a narrow parking lane, to really shift over. So you've got like a much bigger presence on the road of what's happening on the shoulder than just a single white line that's still in median parking. I'm not even 100% sure that people are going to understand what that line even means. I don't know.
How often do people park there?
Well,
Is it
it's illegal to park there
very
now, in my view, I
I'm
think.
not sure.
And so if you drive the street, you'll only see 3 or 4 cars parked on the street, because the residents, of course, if somebody has a birthday party or whatever, or a dinner at their house, they don't want to encourage their guests to go park on the side street and then walk all the way around, especially in the winter. So if they knew they could legally park there, they would do it. And, their driveways would be as crowded or whatever, but. That's why.
Parked on the street is traffic calming.
I mean, I understand Jim's going. I mean, that's why I'm sort of like travel lane, bike lane without a parking lane, and then you just look the other way. You don't write citations. You send people park on the grass.
I agree with you. We can't say that out loud.
Okay. Okay. We don't say it. We don't say it. People that are illegal, they should be cited. That's what we say.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's up to the Niskuna PD, they make decisions like that all the time. So what we'd be saying is, for those 3 or 4 cars that park there now, it's illegal. And, it just happens. One thing.
Rather than doing A, which was the bike.
Yeah,
lane.
don't do A. If you say there's a parking lane, then
So
everybody
then it's
will
B,
just,
that is
then it's
the
B.
thing.
Yeah, instead of a travel lane and a parking lane, we want a travel lane and a bike lane.
So Laura, have they made up their mind, or they just told you that's where they're headed? So do we still have?
No, I still think it's in flux.
I don't know what percent submittal they've done to federal highway. I was gonna ask, but I decided to just ask for a meeting, because it was quite a bit different than the last conversation.
Let's ask them for a meeting.
Yeah.
And tell them our recommendation would be travel lane, bike lane, but we're happy to have a meeting.
Yeah, do you guys want to do a quick vote for so I can say?
I move that we recommend to the county with the Grand Boulevard Pavement Preservation and Bicycle Improvement Project that the county return to one of the options presented at the January 11 meeting, I think it was, with the town residents, that we like the option with a travel lane and a buffered bike lane. So
How's the bike lane buffer?
buffered, I mean, just white hash stripe.
Yeah.
I didn't know if there's no
Painting it
purple.
green.
Okay,
There's been do that.
just a bike lane, right?
I don't.
Too much anymore.
I don't. That was the issue with the conversation. The width of the road right now is just wide enough to put in the area,
Okay.
bike lane and the road.
Okay,
So
well,
it's gonna get concerning.
Good bike lane.
But we're saying no parking lane. just traveling bike lane.
You're saying the traveling bike lane?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Might as well do a buffered one if we're just doing it now.
We can do that, yeah.
I second it.
Second, all in favor of making that recommendation to county, public works and engineering? All in favor? Okay, thank you.
Based on that meeting.
Huh?
Not based on the meeting.
Oh, because you think so many people were concerned about their parking spaces
Part of the conversation about her.
at the meeting?
That's the county city.
That's true.
So you think that you learned that it was okay to park in the county meetings
thought it-
after that January 11th?
I thought we heard that at the meeting.
From the county?
Yeah. There was a
Well,
prohibition on parking on the county roads. Thought we had that
I
conversation.
mean, it's possible the county would not put an option out there if it was illegal. They'd be in the same mess we are. They'd be saying,
Well, they can change their rules.
Well, I was gonna say, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah,
obviously, like,
They're
that was
redoing
my
it all.
thought. I mean, if
Yeah,
they
yeah,
give
you're right.
express
they could go to the
permission-
legislature. and
Any
ask-
any resolution where they're gonna repave the road and stripe it, they can easily throw something in there to say parking is or isn't. That was part of the deal. They had to do that, but I would think.
Okay.
I thought they said it wasn't illegal. Maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I can't think of any county roads. You can't park on Knott Street. You can't,
That's
that's on
different.
Grand,
No, it'd be not in Lexington.
Console, even Lexington, when we. Lexington's a console. Yeah, that-
Lexington is town road?
Yeah.
Lexington is not a town road, no. Oh, sorry.
Lexington is.
I thought you were saying county roads. Yeah, Lexington is town road.
That, you may be confused. Lexington, it's not encouraged. Some people do have to.
Oh, I have all sorts of pictures of tire marks through the grass and. Yeah.
Okay. We still have a lot to do, so let's do,
I was wondering if we could talk about the demo. project.
yes. Yeah. Let's do that.
So we got approved to do it, thanks to Trish and Laura, for June 15th. And then the rain date is the June 22nd. And I know for sure that I found my spreadsheet from the last demo, like day that we had. And so I know we want to do the rodeo again for that group ride. Are we spray painting Sharrows? Like, how much are we doing to mark it up, or will we just have ride leaders to do it?
So I talked to the police and they will provide, policemen to be ride leaders if we want.
Oh, okay.
And, we can do this. We were gonna do chalk, weren't we? We were gonna use that chalk.
And depends on how many of you want to put up.
Yeah.
I did a bunch of lines with chalk. It goes really fast. You gotta watch your fingers.
Yeah.
You wear gloves. And it takes a lot of chalk. It depends on how many you want to put down. If we're only putting down a couple of them, we can do it. If we're putting down a ton of them,
Then you
it
want
takes
to
a
do
lot of
spray
time, and a
paint
lot of chalk.
So we have some chalk.
Would we do 5 on Orchard Park Drive, just repaint some of those, or since the neighbors are? I mean, do you, want some volunteers to walk Orchard Park Drive to ask them about the Sharrows on the street to see if they'd be okay with that?
Oh, we sent a letter to everyone on Orchard Park saying that they were getting temporary Sharrows and what the whole thing was about, and I did not get a single complaint.
Okay.
Not a single one.
Do we want to do another mailing for the bike rodeo or?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll make a flyer, that you can email. And then, like the last time we were putting it up on bulletin boards at the JCC and the schools and stuff. So, I mean, I guess for the next meeting, I could bring some paper copies that people could distribute and some, I think it went out in some of the school emails because I sent it out to the receptionists. And let's see, I mean, are we going to do any sort of giveaways? The last time we had helmets and stuff. I mean, I don't think it's necessary. I'm just wondering so we can get things ordered.
I think we could probably do giveaways, but I don't know about helmets,
Okay.
because that was the grant that we got.
Okay.
Let's give money.
Oh, I I read that. Did you guys do it?
Yeah, so the main thing that
Well,
we
let's just ask. Let's see if we can find somebody that will give us some helmets. If we can find somebody that will give us some, we'll give them all, that's all.
I mean, from a local store, they're expensive. I mean, Laura got like a bulk, discount ones, I think.
Which they're the main bulk of the grants that we got for those, like the bike helmets were the main part of what cost us money for those grants, like the spray paint and this wine stencil was kind of expensive,
But we still have it.
but we still have it, so we don't need that anymore.
Why don't we ask Spectraplex, see if they have any spring for some.
Yeah.
You just tell me where you get them and how expensive they are, and we'll ask Spectraplex if you give us enough money to buy 100 helmets.
Do they need that kind of thing?
Sure. They don't have as much money as God, but they're second in line.
I want to say it was Martin Harding and Mazzani, I think, gives out money for this stuff. It's the things.
They just left it. They didn't see anymore, but we could ask them, be like, thanks for leaving us.
Who else is is anybody in the tech part? Anybody, Environment One, or Momentum, or? We should just, I'd like this-
Yeah.
the Schenectady Foundation, they're always looking for things, we should send them a letter.
Yeah, so we could ask.
I mean, how many,
Timing is pretty short on that, but we could try.
So do you want to allocate any of those asks to me?
I think probably we better come from the town.
I mean. I think
Yeah,
it would
right?
be a
Yeah,
lot.
no,
I-
we'll do it.
I could pretend.
If only there's like,
no, we
if
should
they
just have a letter from Town Complete Streets, we'll check with the supervisor, and make sure she's okay. with
Yeah,
that.
we should check with that too before we start asking,
And
but then Trish and I can call.
Send them to 10 places.
They might be back or something. So you like to get like snacks.
So last time Stewart's gave us ice cream and we let my daughter and her friends scoop ice cream the whole time.
Oh, yeah, that was.
That's gonna be my favorite place.
Yeah.
I'll
Sorry,
do it.
okay.
Where is it gonna be, Trish? I mean, Tess,
It'll be here. Yeah, they got it approved even though it's early voting.
So it's the back parking lot, like.
Yeah.
Thing though that we have to do, like, which I don't think is gonna be terrible, like, we're just gonna have to put signs up at the entrance that say early voting here, and then we are gonna need to designate a couple parking spaces in the parking area, like away from the bike rodeo to allow people to park there.
Like that strip that we have with the handicap.
Yeah, we can just reserve that whole
The
thing.
whole strip that's all by itself, away from the rest, as the parking for, the early voting. So that way we have handicap covered and parking spots. And
Yes.
It's just stuff that comes on the shed, right? So if we use a couple of those for this, we also use a couple to kind of, portion off the
Yeah.
parking spaces, some caution tape or
and
something.
we use the tires for an obstacle course.
So I need to see those tires.
Mike Cope gonna help us? Will they provide some
They,
data?
yeah, they
from
do.
them?
Well, I'll ask them. Like they always have it. It's not as big as it was because a bunch of kids graduated, but they don't have a race that day, which is like. Space, yeah.
Are you willing to be the captain of the bike rodeo? So if people have questions, call you.
Sure, I mean, I was
Okay.
gonna be the captain of the whole event
Okay,
organization. but
good,
yeah,
good. That's it.
Okay,
Tessie is the captain of the whole event. Now she'll need our help. but-
Laura will help her.
yeah,
I'm gonna get in touch with CDTA to see if we can get a bus, put the bikes on.
You didn't have a final date.
Well, I didn't know,
About it.
call them until I get a date, so I'll give them a call.
for information, and then you also contacted CDPHP about those, the bikes that they have, like we have those two. Yeah, did we do that again? Was it a pain?
No, I'm trying to remember who I talked to. I think the person who actually manages the bikes lives in Muscogee.
I really enjoyed trying the bike last time, even though I know I could just pay and do it any other time, but.
You know, with Metroplex, they're paying to put up the signs. And the signs say people should wear bike helmets, isn't that? Practice
Oh,
bike safety.
yeah.
Yeah, so we reach out to everyone. And we say, you're paying for money, signs
Here.
to behave themselves on the bike path. We want kids to be safe and we have evidence that they're not safe. And so give us a little money for bike helmets. That would be-
Well, we're in trouble, like, my friend. A couple $100, so you can go. Is it like $7,800?
$700-800.
Yeah, they're up. Yeah, you get, no, yeah, you get 100 helmets, $7 or $8 a piece, I think.
People really take them. Do you have like
Yeah, and I'll try to have like the bike, simple bike repair clinic too. So it seemed like a lot of people like that too. I mean, last time we didn't have music, but does anyone want to have music? Does anyone have a connection with that? Like a band?
Didn't we have, we've never had music?
I don't think.
We
so.
did.
At the, high school, that want to come and play, just see what goes on.
Oh,
Yeah, because they think, I mean, kids like to do that, get out there and let people hear them, so it'd be a good spot for us.
what are they saying? What kind of things? are they saying?
It's really like anything. It's like there's some rock, there's jazz, there's like, violin, that kind of stuff.
Oh, cool.
That's, as long as it's not like.
Right.
It's good to get you in this.
Wrong violence. And you have the date, June 15th,
Yes.
and then the other just on the second.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, Stewart's is always so generous, but is like there other food? I mean, last time Bill like out of his own pocket bought pizza and soda.
You brought soda, didn't you? What did you get?
I think I had some soda left over yesterday, which I always have a ton of. And I think this time too, so I think. I think the pizza, nobody drinks it, and I'll give it to this and put me down for water and soda.
So, I mean, the more places we can get to donate stuff.
They know me because I buy stuff from.
Right, and I guess as this comes back, then that will help me form like what I put in the flyer, so that.
I'll start making
I'm
calls.
just not making up a bunch of stuff.
You might have to finish every day. And then-
Right, and-
Yeah.
Monday.
I think it's on the,
They do it together.
SCD, CRTC for stuff.
so
Cause they've given us that, and they've given us pens and lights and stuff before. Yeah,
Jen's not there.
Jen left.
Jen left,
Jen left.
Last Friday was the last day, yeah.
Really?
So I am now, it's the connection,
She go.
MJ. So the Hyams a connection now, I think, for Whitehead, but they may still have some stuff left over from past years. I am, he's
Oh,
this is
okay.
the year. I believe he's the guy.
Okay,
And what about these for a certain-
Yeah, we'll have to do a nice map.
yeah, we should do that.
Yeah.
That bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can try. Does Clark Henry do a drawing? I'd like to just draw the loop on the map, so.
'Cause I didn't put that on the flyer too.
Yeah, I think we put on the flyer. Maybe you could just
Yes, now,
schedule, that's what I'm thinking. Just schedule a time to meet with me, Bill, mostly so that I have to do it when you come. Yeah,
I can do it if you want. Just
Can
tell me-
you?
just- Yeah, I got you, yes. Just tell me where you want it to go.
we want to go down Orchard Park to cross at the St. Joseph's, then down the bike path to River Road and then come back to Blatnick Park, Windsor Drive. It's a big loop.
It's not very last time.
Yeah. Smaller one. for
Well, you
kids.
might want some, could just be Orchard Park down, cross the crosswalk,
Crossing.
and then come back. So I want to practically have staff at both St. Joseph's Drive and then another one at Windsor, with the club stop. So older folks would make.
Yeah, that's a long ride for little kids. They're not gonna do that.
Well,
Could be like the 1 mile fun run that they do in the fall.
I think that's exactly how we'd have to sell it.
That goes through Orchard, right?
We'd have the short loop and the long.
And we could have a couple, we could have, like you say, volunteer stationed at those crossings just for the time of the rodeo.
yeah, we probably want someone at Van Antwerp and not Street East to make sure people get across there on the bike path. And then they're all the way down where they would come out at River Road, so we'd have some people there to make sure they cross River Road. Then they're on the bike path. They're gonna ride up past the GE entrance back down the hill.
There's a lot of-
That's good. We get some adults and some high school kids and
They
some.
need,
It's true. There's something, I don't know how they're getting some, but I don't know. I can do most of it.
Your daughter will be, come on, Mom.
Honestly, the best of
We
it.
should put our bikes
Ride it and just ride ahead. And just, I think the best thing to do would be to have two volunteers who can ride it, just ride ahead. Well, they're gonna lead it.
Yeah.
You want someone standing there, like, I don't, like, so a lot of crosswalks now, they actually have flags on either side. I don't know if you've seen this yet or not. Seem to take like cones and flip them upside down, you stick a flag in there, so when you're crossing the road, you wave the flag as you cross the road, and then you stick it in the cone cup on the other side. Which is kind of an interesting thing. But instead of having people just standing there waiting for the group to come, if you had two cyclists who could stay ahead of the group, which will probably be at a moderate pace, they could just get out there ahead of time, stand there and kind of, push the button, make sure everyone gets through or whatever, maybe wear a vest if that's what you want. And then after everyone gets through, kind of ride ahead and get ahead of the next group as well, something like that. Otherwise, you have volunteers stand out there all.
But I think we should have volunteers to tell the truth. Above them.
No, they'd be with the group. They'd ride ahead of the group.
Well,
And they'd be there for the
assuming,
ceremony
but
to get
unless somebody goes without a leader and just shoots along, depending on when you push the button and get across. I wouldn't,
We'll talk about
I
it.
wouldn't want somebody to get hurt because, a lot of cars don't stop on video. even if it's something.
There's always the flags there, and with extra flags and.
It's another discussion for another day, when to permanently, but temporarily.
The only one by themselves, and they, wanted to have, do that extra. What time should it be that day?
Oh, yeah. I don't think we picked a time. did
No,
we?
we haven't.
Usually late morning through early afternoon, so
Like,
10 to 2,
or something?
10 to 2, 11 to 3, something like that, to give us time to set up and then also break
Right.
down.
Yeah.
I know we're always rushing to set up. We always think we're gonna set up the day before, and everybody's much.
10 to 2
Or
is-
it rains.
10 to 2 is like 4 hours. I think that's like a nice time. So you got time ahead to get ready.
So is that probably not? I think 4 hours is too long.
Oh, okay. Let's make it too short. I was like,
11 to 2 then, or 10 to 1, or?
We have music there, though. The high school kids are gonna be hanging out.
but that's okay. I mean, we can still.
I don't think it would be.
10 to 1 or 11 to 2.
What is early voting start?
Oh, it's all day. It's 8 to 5, so there's no way to
So
avoid it. It's also 8 to 5, it's on 8 to 5 Saturday and Sunday, both weekends.
Maybe 10 to 1, just in case people
Yeah,
want to do
I like
anything else with their day. Is anyone opposed to that? Okay. Good. All right, well, that sounds like a good start to it.
Well, we only have a few minutes left. The goals, we had a lot of input at the last meeting, including making Grand Emperor toward one of our goals, and then we moved some things around.
And I was editing the wrong sheet, so.
Yeah, so,
To edit on.
okay,
And then
so we'll try to have those for our next meeting.
for last meeting. Third
And
time.
then, could you just say a little bit about it? Somebody have been interfered, but is this a letter from Bridgewood Lane that we're thinking about speed humps or?
Oh,
what exactly
it's-
is-
Request from the person who lives on the corner of Birchwood and Route 7. So they were very supportive of our sidewalk grant and are very supportive of us resubmitting it. But they also feel like there's been a huge increase in commercial truck traffic on that road and we don't know why. And they feel like speed humps in that area would be really beneficial. Another thing they wanted to do is maybe close down a portion of, but I don't, as a planner, can't recommend. But
Should we hold up on speed humps until we find out if we get the grant on the sidewalks, and then the sidewalk is in and people can walk on the sidewalk to get to Birchwood Elementary?
Or we could put it into our next grant application.
Can we tell them it's part of a larger discussion, speed on speed tables, and that maybe we'll consider that as part of the application as well, but there is a larger kind of town-wide conversation going on as to how it'd be installed in there.
I was under the impression that our earlier grant was only missing a couple of things, like not having the environmental savings, and that, so we don't have to change much to resubmit, and the resubmit's coming up in July, is that right, or something like that? So, well, it's up to the committee, I mean, if you want to change it around, but I'm,
Well, I'm not suggesting change the grant, just saying that the response back to the neighbors could be, we're doing this grant and it's part of a larger conversation for the speed tables.
oh, okay, yeah.
that we're not ignoring them. It's just, it's gotta be part of that larger conversation.
I mean,
We talk
also-
about individual roads and it's hard to look at an individual road without thinking.
I mean, this is an email to us, but should this go to highway committee or police committee to find out, look, would you drive Bordella Road? Here's a resident wants to do it. Are you at all open to looking at this? Or, I mean, if, there's no point in us pushing something that's gonna get. Okay, so that's good. That's progress right there. So what would our next step be? I mean, if it's complete streets, then it's like we'll look at some examples, or we'll talk to neighbors, or we'll make a recommendation to town board, or
Being highway, I just through there, I think, if they would be supportive of us trying to. But it is a heavy lift. I almost think we'd have to do a budget item for next year. Asking for the one that Tess found, I think. Remember when you found the demonstration one?
Or, I'm sorry, I had to.
For that's okay, for the speed humps. They were like, you still had to like even drill them into the ground. They're like rubber and you still had to even drill them into the ground, but you could put them down there for a little while, see how people like them, and then you can take them up and put them in other places too.
Mhm.
Or I think you can leave them there like relatively permanently, even though they're like demonstration.
Yeah, the only issue is the plows. Well, that's really the main issue with anything that's temporary. It's, you know, if they lift their blades, it's not those.
so we're not asking for a platform, right? We're just asking for a hump like on Mordella Road, just.
It could be, I mean, they do reverse ones now. They actually do cuts in the road, so it's a bump down and it slows you down. It all depends on what we want to do.
Flow, it goes over it,
Right.
because it's not as big of a.
Yeah.
Bump.
I think it'd be important to know whether, like Ray Smith would be, if the town board wants to do a trial, I'm open to a trial, I work for the town board. Or whether he would make a recommendation that highway committee that I don't. even look- I don't wanna wrestle it at all, but if there are other communities that use them, that have snow, then.
I feel like we could bring it up and see what they wanted to do about it.
It'd be so nice to have some example roads so that even the other guys in the police department could go and drive them.
I feel like Mardella is one of the only examples, at least that I know of.
But it's close and it works.
There are others, I can't think of them off the top of my head, but I know there are some others around.
Something.
Something about it. So if you're gonna talk to people, do you have images? I think we talked about this a year or two ago, like images of what these can be. Because one of the things we can do with speed tables and speed humps is you can build them so that they have the ruts cut out so the ambulance and fire trucks can go through and not hit them. So they drive right through without hitting the bump, but everybody else would hit it, at least with one wheel. So there are options out there that we can talk about for selling this idea.
Let's get some options.
Go to images, it might.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That one right there with the neck down in the middle. Or that one, yep, either way. You place them in, so those are rubber. Those are rubber, so those are just bolted to the ground, but you place them in such a way that they're wide enough for the larger vehicles to go through without hitting them, but smaller vehicles have to at least hit one. And you can do that with pavement too. Might be tougher. That makes it an easier pitch to emergency services. We still have other people we have to pitch.
So how would you say those are,
Just, I don't know.
It can't be more than, can't be more than 6, yeah.
I remember seeing bigger ones.
So if they're not wider than the wheelbase of the car, it can't be higher than the carries the car.
That one says Austin's Monitor, whatever that is, looks like it's paved. And those are the ones I picture when I look at the paving ones. Yeah, you've got it there, the neck to the speed cushion.
This one?
It's a paved one. No, to the left.
That one.
That one, middle. I think that looks like
No,
it's
it's
paved.
That one doesn't look like it comes up enough. Maybe.
Because you're gonna get people driving, you can see in parking lots too, a speed bump that have that people are gonna drive with one of their wheels through the gaps anyway.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was the part, yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
There's trade-offs, right?
Yeah.
Trade-offs in all this stuff. It depends on what you want to do. You know, if you absolutely want to get, for instance, you know, emergency services sign off on this, it's an easier thing to do if we put the gaps in, but it means that people are gonna be able to run over faster. There's
Yeah.
these trade-offs.
Yeah.
That's what I'm wondering, like, to the wide, we're gonna have to make a decision what time to go with.
And some of them
These are all
are
speed gates.
Slow people down.
Yes.
Not everyone was in favor of sidewalks.
No, but this is the person who was in favor of.
Yeah.
sidewalk. Yeah, and they had kind of a lot of sidewalk on their land, that corner lot.
I think he's the next one in.
Oh, is it? Oh, he's not the corner lot?
He's certain, I'm certain.
On
Corner lots on
Birchwood
Birchwood
or
are gonna be
Seven.
sidewalk.
on
Yeah,
Birchwood, on
Birchwood.
Birchwood. Okay.
These corner lots on Birchwood are gonna be tough on the sidewalk. They're gonna require some retaining line.
Yeah, that's what we talked about. We think they will.
Yeah, we got a pretty good, the east side has a really good hill coming up from the road. The west side maybe isn't so bad.
I'm not negatively downplaying people's concerns about sidewalk at Birchwood, but I mean, every single thing that's ever happened once the sidewalk go in. So,
Yes, they will. I gotta get going. I'm
okay,
out of town. That's what we're event.
well, we have other work to do, but we'll put this. Next meeting, or do you see what item we should?
the only thing that I probably can't bring back for next meeting is the State Street. If anybody had any comments about State Street for the planning board?
Is that the? Was that the unloading cars or is that inflation?
I looked at, didn't kind of complete streets comments, but I didn't know. I don't go on live very much. So I didn't know if anybody had any comments about in that area.
So,
Just about transit stops. And
Yeah.
there's our existing ones are, you mentioned those two already.
Oh, yeah, there's a rapid bus, the line, yeah.
Where's 3900 Road? I'm sorry, I don't.
It's like, it's pretty close to the end of our town line. It's like, it's past the Dunkin' Donuts. It's more like where the car sales are. 3900 is the old battery store next to sort of like that antique. 3905.
This is not the car place that sells cars?
No, that's different. Well, no, 3905, I think is the Hyundai dealer. Yeah.
Oh, the small streets down here, like. Not Warhol or. I mean, there was a guy that
Honda dealer's the one we looked at before, right?
was unloading his, got to unload his cars on.
It's like right across the street.
I think that is the case. Yeah, it is. 3900 is Matthews Kia, and then the other one is across the street.
The battery store.
Yeah, the battery store is across the street.
Are they going out of business? Or are they trying to do
They
something new?
That one. It's good. But they can't sell.
Already sidewalks there, right? I assume it's a wide curb cut, but.
I mean, it's it's a sidewalk in front
They
of-
only have, they only have 4 parking
Yeah.
spaces? Yeah. Smoke shop? I mean, the people lined up 20 feet deep over here on.
No, it's not a dispensary. It's a smoke shop.
Oh, like cigars and that sort of.
Yeah,
CBD.
like paraphernalia, but not the actual.
I see.
substance. Yeah, so there shouldn't be line.
Parking in the back.
There is parking in the back, yeah. That's a couple planning board things, but I don't know measurement wise, like, should we ask them to see if they can fit a sidewalk? I'm not really sure why it's like that.
Yeah, is there a way, like, can there be only behind the building parking and you get rid of all the front street parking?
Yeah, and then just have it be a nice sidewalk.
Right. Kind of like right next door.
Well, they
Although it
hate
looks like
to
it's
give-
only like 1 lane
they
wide.
hate to give it-
It's too pale.
Maybe it's also-
I like the
Especially
idea
because
too.
most people are gonna park in the.
Is there
They
enough
will.
space to park, to go
Especially if
past the
it's dark.
sidewalk and park a car, stay in the bumpers there? and back it up?
Next to a building, it's.
Well, it's has to be sidewalk.
I think it's a tough sell, but it's a good recommendation from us. Yeah, the planning board can make can either decide to do the tough move or
I
not.
mean, are they redoing the driveway? Are they repaving it or anything? You also can't even have, when they repave the driveway, have them do an imprint or anything on the sidewalk. So not gonna repave it.
Fit it, if they could measure it and fit it, they could do a sort of a crosswalk across there to try and make sure that the cars aren't sort of parking where the sidewalk's going. Could be like sidewalk #1, painted crosswalk sort of #2.
That's
We
a
always-
pretty tight
They
spot.
will have to restripe, because you see the stripes already gone. So my building inspectors will make them restripe, so they'll have to already be putting paint down. So maybe they can
It's a
change.
pretty tight spot for 4 spaces. I'm almost wondering if you had them front end where the sign is for the battery store.
And just did 2.
Then you could have 2, maybe 3 spaces there.
Yeah, maybe they should
Back
go
out into
from
the
4 to
travel lane.
3 spaces.
You could have them do a little bit more in that front area with the sidewalk or something, but then they wouldn't be backing out onto the sidewalk. They'd be backing into the driveway,
Doing like a, put their back that way and then come out.
right back into the driveway instead of backing out over the sidewalk, because they're not gonna back into central.
No, they're totally gonna back out into the sidewalk.
Do a 3-point turn or a half. It'd be a little safer for however many pedestrians might walk that section of the road, but I don't see a whole lot, but that's not the point.
You
Still
don't
wanna
see a
improve
whole
it.
lot because of situations like that.
Yeah, get them
That's true.
away from backing out and
Might be walking through there. It's going in.
Yeah, have them say,
For a good walk.
face that red sign you're saying,
They're
right?
always walks to the 2 cigarettes.
Yeah, okay. I'll take that to him on Monday. That's the only other thing. That's the only thing I can't bring back. Timing.
The only thing definitely, see if you wanted to push it is if the sidewalks are in the condition they are there, okay, if there's a curb and it's in horrible shape, there's no way that that's ADA. And the other side's probably the same. I mean, you
yeah,
could,
you should
you
use
could
that.
push-
It's not ADA compliant.
you could push that. I think you have to go out and look at it.
So right there. They don't have either of the curb ramp. But I don't mind asking.
Yeah.
Fix curb ramps.
So somebody can use this leverage.
One of the other things I wanted to
It's
ask,
like the international company of smoke shop, so they should.
oh, so it's not just a single guy that's got to dig the money out, it's an actual company?
It's called smoke.
Okay. Yeah. That's- One of the things that we talked about, especially with the folks on Van Antwerp, a little bit, they want a sidewalk. And they want something that comes down from GE Circle, comes down to that street east here, and then you get on that, and you can come back this way. But to save money by putting a multi-use path or sidewalk all the way from this intersection down here at Knott Street East and then after all the way to Belltown Road, you come down Van Antwerp and you get on the side path here. And then once you get down to the space between the post office or on the other side of that restaurant, it's next to the post office. And then you come through here to those where the 4 homes are knocked down behind the CVS. I mean, Catherine recommended getting even putting it in the plan that is there a north-south loop on a bicycle from here down to State Street, and you come across the Rexford Bridge, and you come down on the bike path over here, come down here, come over St. Joseph's Drive down here, come down here, come behind the apartments, Ace Hardware, Channel 6, the new condos or whatever goes in there, down to a side path that runs on Van Antwerp here. Then we asked for one that's going to be along the reservoir that comes along here. You get to Route 7, which is here, across here, and then you have one on the other side. There's an elevator into State Street.
I think
we've got
you
line.
can put that in the comp plan.
Yeah, we want to put it in comp plan,
Yeah.
but part of it is if those apartments, if the developer comes back with a space where those 4 homes are, Yeah, we want to make sure that because that saves us having to do a side path all along here to get down here. People on Van End can come down here, use Knott Street East, go back in this way, then they're already at the intersection of Balltown Road and Van End.
Yeah, we still don't have anything, that case is in litigation and we still haven't heard,
Yeah.
but if it comes back, I'll make sure it'll come back to you guys, so.
So notice when we draw the loop for the bike thing, I'd like to draw the line for this one. Just to put,
So creep.
yes, it's called, what, Scanning Creek or Tunnel Creek or something like that. That's it.
Okay,
Okay, if we have no other business, I move to adjourn today's meeting. So a second, seconds, all in favor of adjourning the, people for a second. Okay, thank you all for coming and thanks for staying an extra 10 minutes. Got a little bit of a late start. I mean, up to totally